Good luck. That's what they told you. No strategy, no sermon, just that. 2 words that mean everything and nothing. You're 20, maybe 21. You haven't eaten in 12 hours. You haven't slept in 2 days. You've got a rifle that jammed last week and a pack full of gear you barely know how to use. And in 5 minutes you're going to step into something that doesn't care about your name, your training, or your favourite band back home. Your hands are shaking. Your stomach's doing somersaults. But you try not to show it because showing it makes it real. They said good luck like it was a shield. Like luck could stop shrapnel. Like luck could tell friend from foe when everyone's wearing mud. You don't feel lucky. You feel like a ghost in waiting. You check your gear again 3rd time, maybe 4th. Your helmet's loose. Your boots are soaked. There's a letter in your breast pocket that you didn't finish writing. Maybe you still think you'll have time later. Maybe you won't. Across from you, another guy doesn't matter. His name is trying not to puke. Another's mumbling something that might be a prayer or just bad math. Everyone deals in their own way. You remember what your CO said the night before. Keep moving, stay low, shoot 2nd, think 3rd, pray if you've got the time. That was the briefing. You tighten your grip. The leather creaks. Your breath fogs. There's shouting ahead, distant. Maybe. Could just be nerves playing tricks again. And then, over the noise, someone leans in a guy you barely know and says, "Good luck." You nod. Because what else is there to say? If you want more stories like this, true ones, brutal ones, the kind they don't put in the textbooks, hit subscribe. It helps us keep telling them, helps you hear them. Now take a breath. Close your eyes. Because good luck isn't a blessing out here. It's a warning, and yours is almost up. You got your orders 3 days ago. They came on a folded sheet of paper that smelled like wet ink and stale coffee, handed down from a guy with too many stripes and not enough time to explain. He didn't look at you, didn't even slow down, just passed it off like it was a shopping list and moved on. Report to staging, gear up, move out. That was it. No mission briefing, no map, no here's what you might face. Just a time, a place, a shrug from the universe. You held the paper like it meant something, like it had answers. It didn't. What it had was your name scribbled next to a unit you'd never heard of, assigned to a grid reference you couldn't pronounce, in a corner of a country you couldn't find on a map 2 months ago. But orders are orders. So you packed. Half your gear didn't fit right. Your ammo pouch kept sliding off. Your canteen leaked. Your webbing had a broken clasp that someone tried to fix with wire and good intentions. Your boots were 2 different shades of brown. No one cared, because nobody here looks like they know what they're doing. And the ones who do, they're either dead or terrifying. At staging, a truck pulled up, mud-caked, rattling like a coffin full of angry tools. You climbed in with 15 other guys, some talking, some sleeping, one staring at a photo he didn't offer to share. No one asked questions. You learn that quick. Questions make you a liability. Ask too much and people stop trusting you. Ask too loudly and someone with a clipboard starts reassigning you to something closer to the front. You don't want that. No one wants that. So you sit in silence, clutching your rifle like it's a seatbelt. The truck rolls on, through villages that don't wave, past burned-out barns, under trees that still carry the echo of artillery. Everything's grey. The sky, the road, the people. Eventually the truck stops. A voice yells, "Off! Now!" You jump down into mud. Deep, wet. Smells like fuel and rot. You're handed a radio broken, a map outdated, and a helmet that smells like its last owner didn't leave voluntarily. A sergeant walks up. One eye. No patience. He points. "That way. Keep walking till someone shoots at you, then you're in the right spot. You blink. He doesn't smile. You walk. The guy next to you mutters, "That's the plan?" You don't answer, 'cause yeah, that's the plan. You keep moving through fog and trees past wreckage that still smokes, stepping over things you don't want to look at too closely. Eventually you find your new unit, if you can call it that. 8 guys, no uniforms matching, 3 rifles between them that actually work. One guy has a shovel instead of a weapon. He's digging a hole with it. For what? He doesn't say. You don't ask. You report in. Someone nods, points at a spot near a tree. That's your post now. No welcome, no name check, just stand there. Try not to die. You set your pack down. Your shoulders scream in relief. You flex your fingers. They're stiff, cold, covered in grime that isn't entirely yours. Across from you, a guy is counting something under his breath. 3 crates, 2 radios, 1 morphine. He repeats it, like a mantra, like he's trying to remind himself he exists. Another guy's asleep against a wall, rifle across his chest, boots off, 1 sock red. You think about asking if he's okay, but you don't. Because here's the truth you figure out in the first 5 minutes. Nobody knows anything. Not where the enemy is, not when you're moving, and not why you're here. And anyone who says they know, they're lying. The most honest answer you'll hear out here is, we're waiting. Waiting for what? More orders, more bad news, more noise, another reason to run. And so you wait. Because what else is there? You clean your rifle even though you cleaned it yesterday, even though it jammed last week and probably will again. You check your pack. Still short a bandage, still missing a spoon. You eat what's left of your last ration bar, chocolate maybe, or something pretending to be. It crunches like gravel and tastes like wet rust. But you chew anyway, because your stomach doesn't care what it is. Just that it's something. The guy next to you lights a match, for warmth. Not a fire that'd be suicide, just one tiny flame. He holds his fingers over it and closes his eyes. You ever been in a real fight, he asks. You shake your head. He nods like that explains everything, then says, "Don't worry, it won't help." You ask his name. He tells you, you immediately forget it. Names don't matter here. You look around. This little patch of nowhere. This tree, this mud, these strangers with weapons and nerves and not nearly enough training. This is where you're supposed to survive. You wonder what the enemy looks like. You wonder if they're also sitting in the cold right now, confused and underfed, waiting for someone to tell them who to shoot. You wonder if their orders were just as useless. Eventually someone whispers, "We move at first light." You nod, even though you know that's a lie. Because first light isn't real here. Out here, it's always night. And when the morning comes, you'll still be blind, just with slightly better visibility. There's always one. Too young, too clean, too bright-eyed to know better. He shows up just before dusk, helmet too big, rifle too polished, eyes wide like he's still waiting for someone to yell "cut" and send him home with a participation trophy. He sees you sitting by the collapsed trench wall, chewing on a piece of ration that tastes like it expired before the war even started. He salutes, sloppy, like a scout at summer camp. You don't return it, you just nod. Because rank doesn't matter here, not really. Experience does. And he's got none. He stands too straight, shoulders too tight, still thinks posture might save him. You point to the mud beside you. Sit down before someone thinks you're important. He obeys, fast, nervous. You can feel the panic radiating off him, like steam off a kettle that doesn't know it's boiling yet. Name, you ask, even though you won't remember it. He tells you, something plain, something from the middle of the country. Probably had a paper route, a dog, a mother who cried at the train station. You grunt, offer him what's left of your cracker. He takes it like it's communion. First time? He nods. Too fast. His mouth opens like he's about to ask something, maybe, what's it like? Maybe, how do I stay alive? Maybe, do you think we'll win? You cut him off. Don't. He shuts his mouth. Because you've heard it all before. The questions. The hope. The belief that there's some secret, some trick to surviving this. There isn't. You don't survive by being smart or fast or strong. You survive by not being in the wrong spot when something explodes, that's it. Across the trench, someone sneezes. Not loud, but loud enough to make every head turn. The new kid flinches. You don't. You're past flinching. You light a cigarette with trembling hands. He watches like it's a magic trick. You smoke, you ask? He shakes his head. You offer him one anyway. He takes it, fumbles it. Tries not to choke on the first drag. Fails. You both sit in silence, staring at the empty field ahead. It's quiet. Too quiet. Which means something's coming. It always is. The kid breaks the silence. What should I do when it starts? You look at him. Not hard, just long enough for the weight to land. Then you say it and don't freeze, don't shout, don't run in a straight line. He nods like he understands. You know he doesn't. You point to your boot, the laces frayed, sole peeling, stained with something you stopped identifying 2 weeks ago. See this? He nods. That boot has seen 12 firefights, 3 mortars, 1 near miss with a bayonet, and it's still here. He tries to smile. Doesn't quite make it. So, what's the secret? He asks. You look him dead in the eyes. Don't be braver than the guy next to you. Just be slower to die. He blinks. You toss your cigarette into the mud and stand. Your knees crack. Your back screams. You ignore both. Come on, time for the tour. You walk in past the comms post, a busted radio wired to a tree. Past the med station, just a tarp over a table with too many stains and not enough morphine. Past the graves, shallow, crooked, nameless. What's that? He asks, pointing at a line of sticks in the ground. You pause. That's where we bury the guys we don't have time to bury. He swallows hard. Good. That means he's still human. You lead him to the edge of the trench. Point toward the trees in the distance. That's where they are, probably. He squints. Can't see anything. You nod. Exactly. Because that's how it works out here. You never see the shot that matters. Never hear the guy who gets you. You just blink and you're gone. The sun dips lower. The sky turns that awful shade of dying fire. The kind that doesn't warm, just warns. You hand the kid a spare magazine, then another. He fumbles them, drops one, picks it up like it's made of glass. You sigh. You ever actually fire that thing? At a range, at bottles. You nod. Out here, they shoot back. You take a step closer, grab his shoulders, firm. Listen. When it happens, not if. When you stay down. You keep moving. You don't think. Thinking is for after. He nods. Too much nodding. Too much belief. You let go. The sergeant yells something from down the line. Words get lost in the wind. Doesn't matter. It always means the same thing. Get ready. You walk back to your spot. The kid follows like a shadow with bad balance. You crouch. Adjust your rifle. Check your gear for the 100th time. Everything's still broken, but at least it's consistently broken. He crouches beside you, breathing hard, eyes darting. What if I panic? He whispers. You don't look at him. You just say, you will. He doesn't reply. You both stare at the trees again, and then a flash. Far off, muzzle fire. First shot. It started. He jumps. You don't. Because fear isn't new to you. It's just a roommate you stopped arguing with. Bullets start cutting the air. Sharp, whining, angry. Someone yells. Someone drops. The kid ducks, covers his head, forgets everything. You grab his collar, yank him down harder. Stay low. Breathe. Return fire when you see something. He nods, again, but his rifle stays down. He's not ready. You fire once, twice. Hit nothing, doesn't matter. The point is to make them duck too. That's how you live. Mutual hesitation. The kid finally raises his rifle. Takes aim, hands trembling. You don't stop him. You don't have time. You fire again. Again. Hear someone scream. Could be theirs, could be ours. The kid shoots. Just once. Then looks at you like he's waiting for applause. You just stare. Reload, you say. He fumbles again. Drops the mag. Swears. Gets it back in. You nod. Small victories. Eventually the fire fades. Not because it's over. Just because everyone's reloading. You exhale. Check your arm, grazed, not deep. You've had worse. You turn to the kid. He's pale, sweating, but alive. First one's the worst, you say. He doesn't answer. Just stares at his rifle like it's shot back. You pat his shoulder. Good luck, kid. He finally looks at you. And this time, he doesn't nod. He just says, I think I hate this. Then you're doing it right. It's quiet now, which is never good. Because quiet isn't peace not here. Quiet means the enemy's either regrouping or watching. Both are bad. You're crouched in a shell crater that smells like damp socks, gunpowder, and something recently dead. The kid's next to you, still alive, still pale. He hasn't said a word since the last burst of fire. That's fine. Talking wastes breath. And right now, you need every lungful to stay awake. It's been, what, 8 hours? 12? Feels like days. You haven't eaten, you haven't pissed, you barely remember what dry feels like. You adjust your rifle. The sling digs into your collarbone again. Your shoulders numb, your thighs are cramping. You haven't moved in 2 hours because moving gets you killed. Across the field, somewhere in the mist, there's a barn. The sergeant said we're taking it by nightfall. That was 4 hours ago. No one's moved. Because every time someone does move, they stop being someone. They just become scenery. You watched a guy crawl 10 feet forward. Real careful. Real quiet. Sniper got him halfway through the word cover. You didn't even hear the shot, just a twitch, then silence. You can't see the sniper. You'll never see the sniper. He sees you though. And that's enough to make you stay low. You whisper to the kid, "How's the leg?" He doesn't answer at first, then nods. That means it hurts, but not enough to matter. You hand him a strip of bandage. He wraps it around his knee like someone who's watched it done but never done it himself. Good enough. You both look ahead. Same field, same barn, same maybe death waiting on the other side. And that's when you notice it movement. A figure coming through the smoke. Too fast, too casual. Wrong posture. You raise your rifle. The kid follows, slower. You both hold. The figure gets closer, mud-covered, helmet on. American. Probably. You squint. The outline's right, the walk's wrong. Too light, too upright. Like someone forgot what caution feels like. Wrong place, right uniform. You whisper, "Hold." But the kid's already rising, just a bit, just a signal. You grab his jacket, pull him back down. Hard. Don't. Could be bait. The figure gets within 30 yards. Stops. Looks around. No cover. No fear. Raises a hand. Not a wave, a signal. One you don't recognize. That's not good. You lift your rifle again, slowly. The problem out here isn't uniforms, it's intent. Because enemy scouts know what we wear. They've stripped dead bodies, taken helmets, swapped coats. Looks lie. Movements don't. And this guy moves like someone who thinks he won't die. You whisper again, quieter. If he's one of ours, he's the dumbest bastard alive. The kid whispers back. Should we call out? You shake your head. Because shouting gets you two things. 1, attention. 2, bullets. Neither's helpful. Another figure steps out of the smoke. Smaller, rifle at the hip. Also wearing American gear, also wrong. That confirms it. Too clean, too confident, too late. You don't hesitate now. You aim, exhale. Squeeze. 1 shot, maybe 2. The second guy drops like he forgot gravity existed. The first bolts. You fire again. Miss. Doesn't matter. He's ducked back into the mist. Now the silence is gone. Shouting. Gunfire. Return fire. You hug the dirt like it owes you money. The kid's firing too, shaky but hitting something. Probably trees. Doesn't matter, the rhythm counts. A bullet snaps past your left ear, closer than you'd like. You turn, shout over the noise. We've been made. Like it wasn't obvious. You duck, shift position, new cover, new angle. Your back hits a dead log. Your shoulder flares in pain. Ignore it. You peek out. Movement in the grass. Enemy. Definitely. No more pretending. They're wearing your uniform, carrying your gear. But you see the difference now. Their eyes give them away. Yours look tired. Theirs look hungry. You fire again. Hit one in the thigh. He folds. The rest scatter. Someone yells from your flank. Friendly? You don't answer. You yell back. Check your aim. Because you've seen what happens when someone sees a helmet and assumes a heartbeat means ally. You reload, fast. Practice taking over now. Your fingers move like they're not yours anymore. The kid's crouched beside you, eyes wide, breathing fast. But alive! He yells, Was that one of us? You say, if it was, they should have known better. Because out here, wrong place, right uniform, body bag. The shooting tapers off. One of the guys down the line raises a flare, bad move. It lights the sky in pale red. And just like that you're visible. Everything shifts. You duck back down, hear a shot, close. The guy who lit the flare drops like someone pulled a string through his spine. Gone. Stupid bravery. That's the most common cause of death out here. You look at the kid. He's shaking. You okay? He shakes his head. You nod. Good. Keep that feeling. Because the moment you stop being scared, you stop surviving. The smoke thickens. The wind shifts. You can't see the barn anymore, but you can hear them pulling back, or regrouping. You wipe your face. Sweat. Mud. Blood. Doesn't matter whose. You look down at your uniform, torn, burned, soaked. Then look out across the field again. And you think, what does it mean anymore? This patch. This name tag. This idea of sides. Because the enemy wears your gear. And half the time, your own people shoot before they ask. So what's the difference? You're not sure anymore. All you know is next time someone steps into the wrong place wearing the right uniform, you won't hesitate. Because if you do, you're just another corpse in matching colours. You're not moving. Not because you're safe. Because no one told you to yet. And out here, no movement is better than wrong movement. You're lying in dirt that used to be someone's backyard. Could have been a garden once. Now it's a shallow depression filled with crushed helmets, shattered roots and the stench of smoke. You haven't blinked in maybe 10 minutes. You haven't breathed right in 30. You're just Waiting. The kid is beside you, head down, rifle on his chest, one eye open. Like if he closes both, the war might sneak up and tap him on the shoulder. He whispers, "How long do we wait?" You don't answer, because you don't know. Nobody does. Waiting is the only constant out here. You wait for orders, for reinforcements, for food, for your heartbeat to slow down, for someone else to step up and take that bullet with your name on it. You wait for something to happen. Then you wait for it to stop. The sun's up now, but it doesn't help. It just makes the sweat on your back stick harder to your shirt, makes the flies bolder, makes the shadows move just enough to feel like ghosts shifting behind your eyes. You adjust your position slow, careful, like the ground might explode if you offend it. You've been in this spot for hours. No shots, no screams, no movement except the occasional twitch from Harris 2 craters over, still chewing on a stick like it's a cigar and he's in a war he understands. You envy him a little, 'cause he makes boredom look easy. You look down at your hands, mud-caked, cracked knuckles, blood under the nails, not fresh, just always there now, like part of your fingerprint. You rub your thumb against your forefinger just to feel something, just to remind yourself you're still a body and not a ghost hovering over a battlefield that forgot your name. Someone behind you mutters a joke. It's not funny. You laugh anyway, because the silence is starting to scream. Waiting does something to your brain. It stretches time. It compresses thought. It turns seconds into questions. You start wondering things. Not useful things, stupid things. Like what your dog would do if you walked through the front door right now. Like whether you'd still know how to hold a fork. Like what day it is. You haven't known the day in weeks. It doesn't matter. There's only now, and maybe. You check your ammo. Still 3 mags left, 1 loose round in your pocket. Your lucky one. You don't know why it's lucky, it just is. Until it isn't. The radio guy nearby swears under his breath. You glance over, his set still dead, has been since the last shelling took out the antenna and half the guy holding it. He hits it anyway, like maybe violence will fix something. It won't. The kid sits up a little. Shouldn't we be doing something? You tilt your head, think about it. Then say, "We are. We're surviving the wait." He doesn't get it yet. He will. Because in war, there's action and there's decay. This is the decay. The part where your muscles tighten from staying still too long. The part where your brain starts inventing noises. The part where a bird flapping its wings becomes a rifle bolt sliding back. You scan the tree line. Nothing. Still nothing. Which is somehow worse than everything. At least when the bullets fly, you know where to duck. Now you're ducking at your own heartbeat. A sergeant creeps up one you don't know, covered in grime, holding a pistol and a map like both mean something. He crouches beside you, whispers, "Still holding." You nod. He looks at the field like he's trying to read Braille off the dirt. "They're out there. I smell it." You smell rot, burnt oil, wet socks, but maybe that's just war's cologne. He mutters something into the busted radio, nothing but static. Then vanishes like he was never real. The kid finally speaks again. "I thought we'd be moving, advancing." You give him the look. Advancing means running into bullets. Holding means waiting for someone else to do it first. He nods, doesn't argue. He's learning. The wind shifts, carries the scent of gunpowder from the east. Could be fresh. Could be yesterday. You don't know anymore. Time is fake now. You pull out your canteen, shake it, maybe a sip left. You don't drink it. You just hold it. Like it's full of the idea of water, a memory of hydration. You look at the horizon again, Still no movement, still no noise. But you can feel it, like a storm under your skin, like lightning behind your teeth. It's coming. Not now, but soon. The worst part, it'll all start at once. And none of this waiting will have helped. You'll fire blind. You'll crawl through mud that used to be someone. You'll aim at shadows and hit nothing. You'll move without thinking and think about moving later. And when it's over, you'll wait again. Because this isn't a story with a beginning, middle and end. It's a loop, a heartbeat, a stuck breath in your throat. You look at the kid again. He's stopped shaking. That's good. But now he's humming something, quiet, off key. You nudge him. Don't do that. Why not? Because if I can hear it, they can too. He stops. Good. You shift your weight again, regret it immediately. Your knee pops, loud, too loud. You freeze. Any noise can be the first domino, but nothing happens. You exhale slow, quiet. Still alive, still waiting. Eventually the sun starts to dip. Not set, just sag, like it's tired too. And the silence starts to feel like a dare. You whisper, "They're not coming yet?" The kid nods. "How do you know?" You shrug. They're waiting too. Forward. That's what they keep saying. Push forward. Advance forward. Keep going forward. Like forward is a place. Like it's a destination on a map instead of a suggestion whispered through gunfire and prayer. They don't tell you what's actually up there. They just point, and you go. Because forward isn't a choice. It's the absence of options. It starts like this. You're crouched in a crater, again. The sun is bleeding into the tree line like it's too ashamed to watch what comes next. Someone shouts. Could be an officer. Could be just another guy who's survived long enough to sound like one. Move up. No plan, no signal, just go. And so you go. Your boots sink with the first step, not into mud, into memory. The dirt here has seen too much. It grabs your ankles like it's tired of watching men walk over it and die. You stumble, catch yourself, keep moving. Around you, others are doing the same. Not in a line, not in formation, just scattered bodies trying to look like intent. The kid's beside you again. He still thinks forward means progress. You wish he was right. The first 100 feet? Quiet. You almost believe this is it, that maybe the fire died down, that maybe they pulled back. Then the first shot snaps through the air, close. Everyone drops like puppets with cut strings. No one yells, no one needs to. You already know, forward is about to get messy. You hit the ground face first. Rocks bite your chin, your helmet slams sideways, your rifle digs into your ribs like it's mad at you. You lie still, not from strategy, from survival. You wait for the follow-up shots. They come quick, 3, then 5, then more, then automatic fire. They were waiting, of course they were. And now you're in their field of view. You crawl, elbows, knees, chest, elbows again. Every inch forward is bought with a grunt and a scrape and a whispered insult to the universe. You reach a low stone wall. Duck behind it, suck air. Your heart's punching your ribs like it's trying to escape. The kid slides in beside you, face streaked with dirt and sweat. He's not crying, not yet. That's progress. You glance left. 2 others are hunkered behind a tree that's more holes than bark. One of them has blood running down his sleeve. He doesn't seem to notice. Ahead, maybe 200 meters, is a farmhouse. Half collapsed, full of bullet holes, probably full of Germans too. That's forward. You whisper. You see any movement? The kid shakes his head. You nod. Then aim for the windows anyway. He doesn't ask why. Good. He's learning. You pop up. Fire 2 rounds. No idea where they land. But someone answers back. G fire from the top floor. You duck before the rounds tear your ears off. That's the game now. Peek, fire, duck, move. Advance in inches. Hope they aim at someone else next time. A grenade arcs from somewhere behind you, one of ours. It lands near the porch. Pops. Dirt. Smoke. Screaming. Can't tell if it's friendly or not. Doesn't matter. You move. Up and over the wall. Sprinting now or something close to it. The kid follows. You hear bullets. Close. Not meant for you, but close enough to feel like they are. You slide into a ditch halfway up the field. Land on something soft. You don't look down. You just whisper, "Sorry," and keep moving. The next 50 feet are a blur of knees, bark and panic. A mortar lands near the farmhouse, probably called in by someone smarter than you. It rocks the building. Part of the roof caves in. Good. You take that as your cue. Move! You yell. Not to anyone in particular, just the world. You and the kid sprint the final stretch. Your legs scream, your lungs tear, your pack bounces like it wants out. You reach the wall of the house, slam into it, breathe like you're drowning. The kid collapses next to you, grinning. You don't smile back, because you know what's next. You breach. First room's empty, second has a body, not fresh. Third, 2 men with rifles, not yours. You fire. Twice. One drops. The other runs. You chase, stupid, reckless. But if you let him go, he flanks the rest of your squad. You turn the corner. He's there. Rifle up. Yours is too. You fire first. He slams backward into the wall. Done. You stand there, breathing hard, listening for footsteps. Nothing. Then the kid appears behind you. Still alive. Still bright. You lower your rifle. Clear, you say. And it is. For now. Outside, others are moving in. Not fast, not confident, just moving. Because the order was forward. Not safe. Not sensible. Just forward. You step outside and look at the field behind you. Bodies. Smoke. Dirt kicked into patterns you'll never forget. This is what forward looks like. Not banners, not cheering. Just a new pile of problems to solve, and a slightly better view of the next ones. The sergeant yells something about setting up a perimeter. You nod, even though you are not sure who he's talking to. The kid sits down on a step that used to be a porch. He's shaking, quietly. You toss him a canteen. He drinks, wipes his mouth, looks at you. We made it. You say, we made it here. Then point to the tree line ahead. Now we go forward again. He sighs, nods, because that's the truth no one tells you. Forward doesn't end. It's not a place you reach. It's just the next spot where bullets start flying. And the only difference between here and there is how long you get to breathe in between. The map says you're here, right here, grid D6, near a stream, the tree line and what used to be a crossroads. Problem is, the stream dried up, the trees got shelled and the crossroads. It's just a smouldering hole in the ground. But the map doesn't know that, because the map was made before everything got turned to hell. So now, you're standing at here, holding a piece of paper that might as well be written in ancient Greek. Your boots are in a ditch, your hands are numb, and the only thing the map's good for is lining the bottom of your pack to keep your biscuits dry. Which, for the record, isn't working. Harris is trying to orient it anyway, spinning it like it'll point somewhere safe if he turns it just right. You say, "That's upside down." He grunts. Doesn't matter. He's not wrong. You kneel beside a tree stump and lay your rifle across your lap. The wood creaks under your weight. It's wet. Everything's wet. Even your bones feel damp now. Like you've been soaking in the war too long and it's started seeping into your marrow. The kid speaks up from behind you. He's got a compass. It doesn't work. He holds it like it's going to apologise. You say, "Put it away. The only thing that points north out here is artillery." Someone laughs, dry, brief. Then it's gone. You all stare at the map again. According to it, the farmhouse you're standing next to doesn't exist. According to it, the road is 50 feet to your left. According to it, you should already be dead. Which? Hey, fair. The lieutenant shows up with a cigarette tucked behind his ear and a grimace like someone told him his dog died and then made him march 5 miles anyway. He crouches beside you. You figure it out yet? You shrug. Map says we're at the crossroads, but the crossroads got vaporized. He looks around. Rubble, smoke, nothing recognizable. He nods like that somehow proves something. So we're close. You stare at him, waiting for a punchline. There isn't one. Because that's the new metric. Close. Not accurate, not safe, just not totally lost. The lieutenant pulls out a pencil and redraws a line on the map like that fixes everything. New objectives through those trees, he says. You look toward the trees. They don't look like trees. They look like broken matchsticks stuck into burnt pudding. You ask, "What's in the trees?" He shrugs. Don't know. Could be supply, could be resistance. Could be nothing. Could be a trap. Could be another 30 men spread across a half-click of forest dying under leaves. Doesn't matter. The map says go. So you go. You move in a line that barely qualifies as a formation. More like a shivering suggestion of direction. The kid's behind you, stepping where you step. His boots are too loud, his breathing's too fast. You motion. Quieter. He nods. Steps lighter. Still too loud. You move through the underbrush. Everything crackles, everything echoes. Even your heartbeat sounds like a signal flare. The map said this area would be flat. It's not. You're climbing a ridge that shouldn't exist, dodging shell craters that weren't there last week, skirting barbed wire that no one marked, crawling under branches that grab your helmet like they're trying to hold you still for a sniper. Harris trips over something. You both freeze. It's just a route. This time. He swears. The map rustles in his hand. Want to trade this for toilet paper? He mutters. You say toilet paper's more accurate. Another dry laugh. Then silence again. You reach the top of the ridge. The tree line below is thick, tangled, dense. The map says it's light foliage. Maybe when the cartographer visited. Back when people still believed the war had rules. You peer through the brush. Something moves. You signal down. The squad drops. Rifles up. Eyes scanning. You see it again, movement, but vague, blurry. You whisper, check the map. Says anything about patrols? Harris flips through the folds. Squints. Frowns. Says friendly units moved through 2 days ago. Could still be there. Or not. Because here's the thing. 2 days is a lifetime out here. 2 days ago, that hill behind you wasn't a crater. 2 days ago, the guy covering your rear still had a last name and a pulse. You scan again. This time you see them. Figures. Moving in pairs. Not crouching, not tactical. Too confident. Too clean. Could be your side. Could be theirs. The map isn't saying anything. You whisper. How far off is that tree line? Harris shrugs. According to this, 100 meters. You raise an eyebrow. It's 50, 60 tops. The map is wrong, again. You sigh. You lean into the kid, whisper, if things go loud, you follow me. You don't try to be a hero, got it? He nods. You grip your rifle tighter. Your knuckles are white through the grime. The lieutenant signals from behind. Move up, slowly. Of course he does. You nod back, signal the others. You descend the ridge. Every step is a test. Every branch a potential alarm. Every footfall feels like a question you don't want the answer to. You reach the edge of the brush. You see them, clearer now. Same uniforms, same boots, same helmets. You don't recognise their faces. They don't recognise yours, which means you've got two choices. 1. Wait and hope they recognise you first. 2. Fire and hope they were wrong. You hold your breath. Someone sneezes. It's not one of yours. The other group freezes. So do you. You yell, "Password!" No answer. You yell again, "Password!" Still nothing. They raise their rifles. You raise yours. Then a voice from behind them yells, "Flash!" You reply, "Thunder!" Everyone exhales at once. A guy steps forward, scruffy, tired, one sleeve torn. "Sorry, lost half our squad. Radio's gone. Didn't know who was left." You nod. You get it. He looks down at the map in your hand. "Still using that?" he says. You hold it up. Show him the hole burned through grid C5. "It's just for morale now." You regroup. Swap info. Recheck bearings. Turns out the objective was 2 clicks northeast, not southwest. The map's old. The landmarks are gone. The war moved faster than the ink could dry. You'll sit for a second. Wiping faces. Checking bandages. Checking yourselves. And for a moment it hits you. You're not lost. You're just somewhere the map hasn't caught up to yet. And maybe it never will. The lieutenant is yelling again. Something about flanking or suppressing fire, or maybe establishing a perimeter. It's hard to tell, not because of the gunfire, but because even he doesn't sound convinced. He's holding the map upside down. You point this out. He flips it, doesn't say thanks. Just mutters something about adjusting the plan. You don't say anything. Because you've learned something out here, maybe the most important thing. Nobody knows what they're doing. Not really. Not the new guys. Not the old guys. Not the officers. Not the radio men. Not the ones barking orders from behind sandbags. Not the ones pointing at maps that haven't been right since the war started. Everyone's just guessing, and hoping their guess doesn't get someone killed. You used to think there was a system, a chain of command, a master plan. You know better now. Now you know that strategy is just what someone yells when they don't want to admit they're winging it. Like today. The plan was simple. Advance to the river, secure the east bank, hold the position until reinforcements arrive. Cool, clean, straightforward. But the river is flooded. The east bank is a swamp, the position's already crawling with snipers and reinforcements. They're either lost or dead. Probably both. So instead you're holed up in a barn that smells like mould and old meat, trying to figure out whether that buzzing in your ears is from the artillery or the flies. Harris is sitting in the corner, whittling something out of wood with a bayonet. No one knows what. He doesn't either. The kid's checking his ammo, again. You've got maybe 23 rounds left, 1 grenade, a knife you found on a guy who doesn't need it anymore, and 0 confidence in whatever the lieutenant's about to say next. He turns to you. You take your fire team up the left flank, clear the orchard. You blink. What orchard? He points at a grove of blackened trees. That's not an orchard. That's driftwood glued to a mud pit. You want us to clear that? That's the order. You nod, because arguing doesn't change anything. You grab Harris, the kid, and a third guy named Collins probably, or maybe it's Connor, no one's sure, he doesn't talk much. The 4 of you move out, toward the orchard. The trees are brittle, the ground squelches under every step, you can't tell if it's water or blood, probably both. You whisper, watch for tripwires. The kid nods. Harris grunts. Collins doesn't respond. You spread out like the manual says, except you've never seen a manual. You just do what the guy before you did. Or didn't do. You reach the first tree. Clear. Second. Clear. Third, no tree. Just a stump and half a boot. You crouch beside it. The boot still has a foot in it. Move slow, you whisper. Too quiet. Because too quiet out here doesn't mean safety. It means set up. You're halfway through the orchard when you hear it, that sound. The one your body recognizes before your brain does. Click. You freeze. Harris does too. Everyone stops. The kid whispers, "What was that?" You don't answer, because you already know. Mine, maybe pressure, maybe trip. Either way, someone's dead. You look down. It's not you. You exhale. Then turn slowly. It's Collins. He's standing still, eyes wide, mouth moving but no sound coming out. You creep toward him. "Easy," you whisper. "Don't shift your weights." He shakes his head, tiny, trembling motion. You step closer. Look down. Yeah, pressure plate. Classic. Stupid. Effective. You meet his eyes. He's sweating, shaking. You whisper, "Okay? You're gonna lift your heel, slow, straight up?" He nods. Starts to move. Half an inch. Then boom. Not a big boom. Just enough. He disappears in a puff of dirt and red. No scream. Just gone. You duck. Instinct. Debris rains down. Bits of uniform. Bits of Collins. You stay low. The kid's breathing hard. Harris is cursing under his breath. You whisper, "Keep moving." The kid stares at the spot. He didn't even do anything wrong. You nod. That's how it works. Because sometimes you step on a mine. Sometimes you don't. It has nothing to do with doing anything wrong. You finish sweeping the orchard. There's no one there. No enemy, no gear, no intel. It was empty the whole time. Just a trap. You head back. Lieutenant's waiting. You say, "Orchard's clear." He says, "Took you long enough." You don't reply. You just sit down, clean your rifle, stare at your boots. Later that night, the lieutenant disappears. Just gone. No gunfire, no footprints, just missing. Someone says maybe he got turned around. Someone else says maybe he wandered into his own crossfire. You don't care. Because you'll get a new one by morning. Different name. Same confusion. Same map that doesn't work. Same orders that lead nowhere. Same shrug when things go wrong. Because that's what you've learned. Everyone's guessing. The guy in the foxhole. The guy in command. The guy drawing the lines on the map and the guy bleeding on them. This war isn't chess. It's improv with explosives. And the only people who look like they know what they're doing are the ones who died before they could prove otherwise. You thought it'd be bullets. That's how you figured you'd go. A clean hole in the chest. Maybe the head if your luck was really bad. Something dramatic. Something quick. Turns out it's your boots. Not a bullet, not a bomb, not even the enemy. Just 2 lumps of leather soaked through, falling apart one blister at a time. Nobody tells you that when you sign up. Nobody says, "Oh, by the way, the real war is between you and whatever's rotting inside your boots." You're on day 3 of the march now. Not because you're covering ground. Because the trucks broke down, or hit mines, or both. So you walk. And the boots, they fight back. The left one's rubbing your ankle raw. The right one doesn't even feel like a boot anymore, just a soggy bag full of regret and trench foot. You stop to take a look. You peel off the sock. Bad idea. Your skin peels with it. Pink, blistered, shredded. The smell hits you before the pain does. You look around. Everyone else is doing the same. Checking feet, wincing, swearing. Some are bleeding through the seams. One guy's walking barefoot now. Said the boots were doing more damage than the ground. You believe him. You try to dry them near a fire. It helps. For about 5 minutes. Then the next river crossing ruined everything. And it wasn't even deep ankle height. But it was enough. Because water plus time plus pressure equals rot. And rot spreads fast. You ask the medic if there's anything you can do. He laughs. Yeah, go home. Then gives you a scrap of gauze and a bottle cap of antiseptic like it's going to hold your foot together through the next 100 kilometres. You wrap it up. Jam your foot back into the boot. Scream a little. No one notices. Everyone else is screaming too. They're just doing it inside now. The march starts again. You limp. Not because you want to. Because your left foot's turning into soup. The road's a mess. Rocks. Mud. Ruts wide enough to swallow a man if he steps wrong. Your boots were never built for this. Too tight, too stiff. Or too loose depending on the weather and your bad luck. But they're regulation. And regulation means you wear them or you die without them. So you wear them and die slower. The guy next to you names Rizzo as his toes are fusing together, like evolution's kicking in early. He shows you. You look away. Too much blood, not enough toe. You say, you should stop. He says, you stop, you fall behind. You fall behind, you get left. He's right. The unit's moving on, no time for feet, or lungs, or food, or names, just distance. You try shifting weight to your heels, then to the balls of your feet, then to one foot, and then the other. Nothing helps. Every step is pain now. Every step is a dare. You think about cutting slits in the boots, giving your toes some room to breathe. You don't. Because the last guy who did that got trench fever. Infection spread up his leg. They took the whole thing off by lantern light behind a supply tent. He didn't even scream. Didn't have the energy left. You keep walking. You stop thinking. Your feet don't feel like feet anymore, just shapes. Vague, burning shapes at the bottom of your legs. You hit a hill. Great. Now gravity's laughing too. You dig in, climb. Every step grinds your heel bone against the raw skin inside. At the top, someone drops, just collapses. Medics check him. Gone. Not from shrapnel, not from a sniper. Just exhaustion. The boots finish the job the bullets started. They bury him on the side of the trail. No marker. Just a helmet on a stick and a quick moment of silence that gets interrupted by the sound of a truck backfiring 3 hills over. Then it's back to marching. You reach a village by nightfall. Or what used to be a village. Now it's 6 walls and a goat. The goat stares at you like it's seen worse. You sit down, carefully, peel the boots off again. This time, you do scream. The sock comes with a chunk of skin. The kid next to you offers a ration bar. You think he's trying to be kind. You consider throwing it at him. Instead, you eat it. Because pain makes you hungry. You dig through your pack, find a dry pair of socks. Miracle. You look at them like they're gold. Slide them on. Slowly. Every fibre is agony. Then the boots go back on. Because of course they do. You lace them up. Too tight. Always too tight. But it's either circulation or infection. Pick your poison. You lie back. Stare at the stars. Think about home. Then you think about the boots waiting for you in the morning. And suddenly, home feels farther away than ever. You whisper. You're not going to be the thing that kills me. But deep down you know it's not up to you. Because boots don't care. They just keep dragging you forward. Until they don't. He had it all figured out. Maps memorized. Routes marked. Timings down to the minute. He cleaned his rifle twice a day. Carried extra batteries for the busted radio no one used. Even had a spare compass, the kind with real glass, not the cheap army-issue plastic that cracks if you look at it sideways. Smart guy. Real sharp. Name was Ellison. Used to teach math back home. Thought logic could beat chaos. Told us one night, crouched in a trench so narrow we had to take turns breathing. If you make the right decisions, you walk out of here. He meant it. You could hear it in his voice, that math teacher certainty, like if you just followed the formula, everything would balance. He's dead now. Caught a ricochet, right under the chin. Didn't even get a second shot off. No firefight, no drama. Just step, crack, done. And that's when you realise it's not the smart ones who make it. It's the lucky ones. Dumb luck. Blind, stupid, unearned luck. That's what keeps you alive out here. Because the guy who doesn't double-check the corner somehow walks past the tripwire. The guy who falls asleep on watch wakes up just in time to shoot the scout sneaking through the wire. The guy who forgets to lace his boots tight misses the mortar by 5 feet because he was limping when it hit. Meanwhile, the ones who train, prep, plan, they die first, because they're the ones moving toward the objective. The lucky ones, they're always just slightly behind. You remember one time Harris slipped in the mud during a retreat, face down, helmet off, screaming. Everyone thought he was done. Then the sniper round meant for him hit the guy in front instead. Harris crawled back, covered in someone else's blood, and said, "I think God tripped me." You laughed. Only because the truth was too big to swallow. You've stopped believing in fairness, or justice, or skill. Out here you can do everything right and still end up a smear on a tree. You reload at the right time, you check your sector, you stay low. And still boom! Gone. No ceremony, no logic, no lesson. Just wrong second, wrong breath, wrong direction. Ellison knew the enemy positions, knew the weather, knew the probability curve of mortar angles based on terrain slope. And then a stray round ended him before his sentence could finish. They buried him next to a tree with a compass still in his hand. The kid cried quietly, said it wasn't fair. You nodded. But fair doesn't live out here. Only random does. The guy you've been side by side with for 3 weeks. Brain's gone before you can say his name. The guy who smells like old meat and hasn't showered in longer than you've been deployed. Still kicking. Still lucky. He even found a whole tin of peaches in a supply crate 2 days ago. Didn't share. You didn't blame him. Peaches taste better when you're the last guy standing. You sit in a shell hole that's half full of rainwater, sipping from a canteen that smells like rust and regret. You watch the trees, the quiet ones, the ones that don't move until it's too late. Harris lights a cigarette beside you. You say, "Put that out, could give away position." He says, "If it's my time, it's my time." You hate that line, but you don't argue, because he's probably right. And if not, you'll get shot while yelling at him, and he'll live long enough to tell someone that you died nagging. Dumb luck. One night you all hunker down in the basement of a church with no roof. The pews are gone. The altar's been turned into a field table. The stained glass is just jagged memory now. Someone found an old piano in the rubble. Keys mostly work. One guy plays Claire de Lune like the war's waiting for the chorus. You close your eyes. Try to remember what normal felt like. Then something slams against the outside wall. A mortar? A shell? Nope. Just a tree branch falling. But it's enough to get one guy to shoot at the dark. Everyone ducks. Everyone else joins in. 5 minutes of chaos. Then silence. And then a new guy, brand new, still has the price tag on his boots, stands up and says, "We should have confirmed our target before opening fire." You look at him, really look, and realise He's not going to last the week. Because that's not how things work out here. Confirmation gets you killed. Questions get you delayed. Delays get you flattened. You survive by guessing fast and ducking faster, and praying you trip on the right route. You remember another guy, Jenkins, big mouth, always mouthing off. Didn't clean his rifle once in 4 weeks. Used his helmet as a soup bowl. Slept through 3 air raids. He made it all the way to the Rhine. How? Who knows? Maybe the universe got bored. Maybe death has bad aim. Maybe he was too dumb to die. But he made it. And Ellison? Still dead in the dirt with all the answers. You stare at your boots, covered in grime, split at the heel, tied together with string. Still here, still walking. You whisper like a confession. I don't know what I'm doing. Harris hears you. He grins. Good, that means you'll probably live. You used to think it would be cinematic. That if you had to go, if it was your turn, you'd at least get something clean, something loud, something that made sense. A slow-motion final stand, a shouted warning, a dive on a grenade that saved the squad. Something heroic. But out here, that's not how it happens. There's no music, no spotlight, no slow zoom on a dying soldier with a flag in one hand and a grin on his face. Out here, you die with your mouth open, your pants wet, and your name never said out loud again. No one gets a hero's death. They get a dirty one, a fast one, a forgotten one, and sometimes no one sees it happen at all. It's your 3rd day in this new sector. The mud is thicker, the trees are tighter, and the only thing louder than the wind is the screaming that doesn't stop at night. Not loud, not panic. Just one guy. Quiet. Constant. Like he forgot how to stop. You've learned to sleep through it. If you don't, you break. And if you break, you die. Simple math. The kid is different now. He doesn't flinch at shell fire, doesn't ask questions. He just moves when you move, fires when you fire. He's learning how to live, which means he's unlearning how to think. You all are. That's how you survive. You shrink. You shed. You turn into something that fits inside the cracks of this war. Because big things get shot. You're on patrol when it happens. The road is empty, hasn't been used in weeks. Still smells like ash. There's a dead cow in the ditch. Hasn't moved. You stop looking at it after day 1. You're checking the edge of the field when the guy 2 steps ahead of you, Mendez or maybe Mallory, doesn't matter, just drops. No warning, no sound. Just vertical to horizontal in half a second. You all hit the dirt. Gun up, eyes wide. Nothing moves. No sniper shot, no echo, no sign. You crawl forward, reach him. He's not breathing. No blood, no wound, just gone. Heart attack maybe, heat stroke, brain popped, doesn't matter. He's dead. You radio it in. They say, mark the body, keep moving. No pause, no moment. Just the same 2 words you hear every time someone becomes a corpse. Keep moving. So you do. Later you see another guy get hit, Johnson, or maybe Jackson. You're not keeping track anymore. He gets clipped in the stomach during a surprise ambush, goes down screaming. He screams for his mum. He screams for God. He screams for anyone. You pull him to cover, hold pressure. He grabs your wrist, won't let go. His eyes are wide and wild. He says, "Tell them I fought. Tell them I didn't run." You lie. You were brave. It mattered. But you both know it didn't. His guts are spilling out, his blood's on your fingers, and he's not going home with medals. He's not even going home in one piece. He dies 5 minutes later. You take his tags, leave the rest. And when you get back, you don't talk about it. Because if you did, you'd have to admit that it wasn't noble. It was a waste. A messy, painful meat grinder of a death like every other one. You remember your first week out here? There was a guy who carried a little American flag in his breast pocket. Said it'd be folded and sent to his parents if he got killed. That flag burned with him in a jeep that got hit by a mine. Nobody told his parents. There wasn't anything left to bury, so they probably just got a letter. Typed, cold. Your son died in service of his country. End of line. You stopped writing letters. What's the point? The post gets lost, or burned, or never delivered, and you're tired of lying. You can't write. Everything's fine when you can't remember the last day you didn't see someone bleed out from a wound they couldn't pronounce. You tried writing the truth once. Described what it felt like to smell someone burning and know it wasn't fuel. Tore it up before you even signed it. Because no one wants the truth. They want the movie version. They want valor. They want sacrifice. They want the kind of death that plays well in a speech. But out here, nobody dies brave. They just die early. You dig a new hole that night. Rain's coming. You can smell it in the dirt. Your shovel hits something soft. You stop. It's a hand. Just the hand. No tags. No face. No uniform. You cover it back up. No ceremony. No prayer. You just whisper, sorry, then keep digging. Because the rain doesn't care who's buried where, and neither does this war. You sit with the kid under a busted roof. The rain's coming down hard now. He asks, do you think we'll be remembered? You look at him. Really look. He still wants it to mean something. You say, by who? He goes quiet, then nods. You offer him a cigarette. He takes it. You light it with the same match you've used for 5 days now. It flares, then dies. He coughs, hands it back. You both watch the rain, and you realise, if there is such a thing as a hero's death, you're not going to get it. Not here. Not now. Not like this. You pull the trigger. That's how it starts. That's how you think it starts anyway. A flash, a sound, a twitch of muscle. A shape drops in the distance. And just like that, you fired your first shot at a man who 2 minutes ago was breathing. But here's the thing. That shot doesn't make you a killer. You wait for something to happen inside you, some shift. A crack in your brain, a change in your wiring. It doesn't come. You just feel itchy, like you missed something important and you can't go back for it. The guy had a helmet, a rifle. He was moving through the brush like he belonged there. He didn't. So you raised your weapon and did what you were told to do. Bang. Gone. Clean. That's what it looked like. But it's never clean. Not really. The kid saw you do it. Didn't say anything. Just looked at you like you'd done a magic trick he couldn't quite understand. You ask, did I hit him? The kid nods. I think so. You don't move for a while. You just stare into the space where the man used to be. Your finger still resting against the trigger. Your breath stuck halfway between in and out. You wait for the confirmation, for the kill to settle into your chest. It doesn't. What you feel instead is a sort of static, like the world just got quieter and meaner. You move up, check the body. He's still there. You got him in the neck. Kind of. It's messy. He's trying to hold it in, both hands pressed against the wound like that'll keep him in this world. His eyes are wide, brown, full of something you didn't expect. Not hate, not rage. Just confusion. Like he's asking you why. And the worst part is you don't know. You were aiming for centre mass. You were told to fire if you saw movement. You did. Now he's dying. And you're watching. Because you don't know what else to do. You think about finishing it. One more shot. End it quick. That's what the books say, right? That's what the honourable thing is. But you don't move. You just watch him bleed into the dirt. And after a minute, he stops breathing. You turn away. And that's when you realise you pulled the trigger. But the war did the killing. Back at the tree line, Harris is cleaning his nails with a bullet. He sees your face and knows. First one? You nod. He spits, shrugs. Don't get easier. You just get quieter about it. You sit beside him. The silence between you is heavier than gunfire. Eventually the kid asks, "Was he a soldier?" You say, "He had a gun." That's all you say. Because saying more means thinking more. And thinking out here is dangerous. That night you stare at your hands. Same hands you used to eat with, write with. Same hands you used to hold a girl once soft, shaking, afraid of the future. Now they just smell like cordite and rust. The squad's asleep or pretending to be. You hear someone breathing hard, not snoring, just surviving in his sleep. You try to sleep too, but your hands won't stop twitching. Because now you know what they're capable of. And that's worse than any nightmare you had before. The next day, another shot. Not yours, someone else gets one. You see the same look in his eyes you had. That hollow space where certainty used to live. You don't say anything, because you know it wouldn't help. He's not a killer yet. Not until he stops looking. Not until he stops seeing who it was. Days pass. You shoot again and again. The body count goes up. But something strange happens. You stop feeling it. You start shooting like it's a task. Like stacking crates or digging trenches. Target, squeeze, recoil, move. Becomes mechanical. And that's when it happens. That's when you become a killer. Not the first shot. Not even the second. It's the one you take without looking at the face. That's the one that changes you. Because you've stopped asking who. You've stopped asking why. You just shoot and walk and breathe and sleep and repeat. Until one day you'll wake up and realise you're good at this now. And that's the scariest thing you've ever known. It rained last night. Again. Not the soft kind. Not the kind you sleep to. The kind that feels like punishment. That hammers your helmet like it's trying to get inside your skull. Now everything's soaked. Again. The trench is a swamp. Your socks weigh more than your rifle. Your fingers are so pruned they look dead before you even take your gloves off. But the worst part, your weapon, your lifeline is full of mud. You pull it apart the second you wake. Field strip, shake, wipe. Mud in the barrel, mud in the chamber, mud in places you didn't think mud could reach. You mutter, "Not now, not today." Because today command says you move, advance, again. Through fields that were rivers yesterday, over hills that are just wet clay now, across roads that suck the boots right off your feet. And all you've got between you and dying is a rifle that's coughing dirt. You scrub it with what's left of your rag, tear part of your undershirt off to push through the barrel. You'd give your soul for a clean patch and a dry cloth. Instead, you work with what you've got like always. Behind you, Harris is smacking his own rifle against a tree. Not smart, but maybe effective. The kid's trying to strike a match to boil water. It's not happening. He swears under his breath. You finish cleaning, reassemble, dry fire once, sounds right. But you won't know for sure until you need it to work, and if it doesn't, Then it's not just mud in the barrel, it's blood on the ground. You move out. The squad's smaller now. Used to be 16. Now it's 9, maybe 10, depending on whether the new guy in the back sticks around. He hasn't spoken once, just follows like a stray dog who doesn't trust the hand that feeds it. Can't blame him. You don't trust that hand either. The route is bad. Mud everywhere. Every step's a gamble. Boot sinks, heel twists, your whole weight drops into slush that reaches your knees. You pull yourself out, boots squelching, rifle raised over your head like it's royalty. Everything hurts. Your thighs, your lower back. Your shoulder's been sore for 2 weeks, you don't remember how it started, and you don't care. You just keep moving. Because command says move, because the mud isn't going to get shallower, and because stopping means freezing, and freezing means dying. Then, about a click in it hits. Boom. Not a mortar. Worse. Stomach. Right side, sharp, sudden. You grunt. Double over. Pain like someone lit a fire in your guts and poured acid over the match. You stumble against a tree, try not to drop your rifle. The kid looks back. You good? You nod. Lie. Because what are you going to say? Something's tearing open inside me and I think I might be dying? That won't help. So you take a breath, shove it down, move on. You've been here before. It's probably food, or water, or stress, or your body finally giving up. You keep walking. 10 minutes later it gets worse. You can't stand up straight. You're sweating. You're freezing. Your hands are shaking, not cold, not fear. Something else. Your insides feel like a twisted rope pulled tight, burning at both ends. You stop, drop to one knee, pretend to tie your boot. Someone mutters, "You puking?" You grunt, "Not yet." Back at camp, when the medic sees your face, he doesn't waste time asking what hurts. He knows. He's seen it before. He's got one hand on your shoulder, another in his kit, pulls out a thermometer, shoves it in your mouth like he's silencing you. You sit there, sweat pouring, fists clenched. He looks at the reading, then at you. Then just says, "That's not just a stomach bug." Great. Now what? The pain gets worse at night. Lying on your side makes it feel like someone's driving a hot screwdriver through your gut. The medic thinks it's appendicitis. Maybe. Or maybe you drank something you shouldn't have. Or maybe it's just war. You lie there shaking, teeth clenched so hard your jaw aches. You don't scream, because you don't want them to send you back. Because the only thing worse than being out here is being out there alone. Morning comes. You try to walk. You manage a few steps, then collapse. Not dramatic, not loud. Just gravity taking over. Someone helps you up. Not out of kindness, out of necessity. They need your rifle, your eyes, your presence. You say, "I'm fine." Someone says, "You don't look it." You say, "War doesn't either." They don't laugh. Too tired, too scared. Too familiar with the sound of a man pushing through fire in his gut. The medic gives you something, a pill, or maybe a placebo. Either way, it dulls the edge. You get back on your feet. You march, because if you don't, you'll rot in a tent with no name, no help, no backup. And if you're going to die, you'd rather it be standing. Later you find a dry patch of earth. You sit, remove your boot. Your socks soaked through, not with water, with sweat, and maybe blood. But your rifle's dry. That's all that matters. You check the chamber. No mud. You smile, barely. Then lean your head back against a tree. Your stomach still burns, but you're still breathing. And out here, that counts as a win. You don't hear them first. You smell them. before the rifle cracks, before the whispered orders, before the adrenaline hits your blood like a match to smell them. Sweat, smoke, oil, fear. It's thick in the air, not yours, theirs. They're close. Too close. You flatten yourself against the ground, dirt gets in your teeth. Your cheek hits a cold root. You don't care. You hold your breath and listen. Branches snap, boots crunch. Someone coughs. Not from your side. They don't know you're here. Yet. The squad split in a shallow draw, maybe 30 metres wide. Barely a dip in the earth, but enough to hide in if you don't blink too hard. The kid's on your left, breathing fast. You tap his arm once. Slow down. He nods, eyes wide. You hear voices now. Low, harsh, foreign. Not just foreign familiar. You've heard them before in broken translations, in surrendering whispers, in the guttural commands of men who didn't expect to make it home either. German. You peek over the ridge. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A patrol, midday, confident. Too confident. They're talking, hands gesturing, weapons at ease. They think the line's farther west. They think this is empty space. They think wrong. You slide back down and motion to Harris. 30 metres, east, moving slow. He nods, then points to the kid. You flank, left tree, wait for signal. The kid hesitates, then crawls. Every inch is a prayer, every movement a chance. You feel it in your stomach, not fear. Focus. You raise your rifle, click off safety. Finger on the trigger, but not pulling yet. Not until the right moment. Not until you can see the whites of their sleeves. The air goes still. Even the birds know what's about to happen. The Germans keep moving. They're maybe 20 metres now, maybe less. You can smell their breath. They reek of cigarettes and fatigue. Same as you. You wait. One more step. One more. Now. You whistle. One sharp note. The kid pops out from behind a tree and opens fire. Not smooth, not clean. He panics. 2 rounds miss. 1 hits. The patrol explodes into action, shouting, ducking, scrambling. But they don't get far. Harris lights them up from the tree line. Controlled bursts. You squeeze off 3 shots. 1 drops, another crawls. The rest scatter. Return fire snaps past your head. You hit the dirt, roll, reposition. The kid yells, not from pain, just noise. You shout, left side, push him down. They're panicking. 1 breaks off, runs west. You track him, breathe in, squeeze. He drops behind a log. 30 seconds. That's all it takes. 30 seconds and 5 men are dead or dying. And you're crouched behind a bush trying to remember if you even aimed at the one you hit. The silence after is sharp. No one cheers, no one moves. You check the kid. He's shaking, gun still raised, smoke rising from the barrel. His face is blank. You tap him. You okay? He doesn't answer. Just lowers the rifle. You nod. That's enough. You move forward. Check the bodies. 2 dead outright. 1 gasping. Chest wound. You crouch beside him. He's maybe 19. Maybe less. His hand is reaching toward his belt. Not for a gun. For a photo. You grab it. Hand it to him. He takes it. Looks once. Dies. Still holding it. You take his tags. Just like you always do. Not for honour. For records. For proof that he was real, if anyone ever asks. No one will. You find the last one hiding under a tree root, bleeding from the leg. He's whispering something. Praying, maybe. You motion for Harris. He checks the guy's pockets. Finds a pistol. Tosses it, then pulls a pack of cigarettes from the dead man's jacket. Offers you one. You take it. You both smoke over the bodies. Not proud, not angry. Just tired. The kid doesn't smoke. He just stares at the blood on his boots like it might crawl up and stain his soul. You want to tell him something. Anything. They would have shot you first. It was us or them. Good job. But none of it feels right. So you say nothing. The lieutenant shows up 20 minutes later, sees the scene, nods. Nice work. You want to punch him, but your hands are too sore to make fists. He scribbles something in a notepad. Probably a report. 5 enemy dead. No casualties. Successful contact. That's how it'll read. No mention of how close it was. How quiet it was. How personal it felt. You march on. The wind shifts. Carries the stick of gunpowder and blood back to you. It clings. Gets in your hair, under your skin, behind your teeth. You can taste it when you drink water now. The kid whispers, "I didn't think it would be like that." You ask, "Like what?" He shrugs, up close. You nod. Neither did they. And you keep walking. The first time you see an officer get torn in half, it breaks something in your head. Not because he was special, but because for a moment, just one, you believed the brass were untouchable. That somehow, somewhere, someone knew what the hell they were doing. And then the mortar dropped, and he was gone. Just legs and smoke. The rest of him was scattered across 3 trees and part of a fence that doesn't exist anymore. No last words, no heroic pose, no salutes. Just pieces. Because shells don't care about rank. They don't care about medals, or plans, or orders. They don't check stripes before they detonate. They just fall. And if you're under them, so do you. Officer Major Kessler had a clipboard. Always with that damn clipboard. He liked to read orders out loud, even if we already knew them. Said it helped with morale. Said it made things official. He'd stand in front of us like we were at roll call, reading bullet points while we shifted in the mud and tried not to fall asleep on our feet. The kind of guy who still shaved every morning, even when we were out of water. The kind of guy who called the Germans the enemy like it was a board game. He was smart, clean, strict. He was also vaporized before he could finish saying proceed to secondary fallback. You remember that part vividly, because one second he was a silhouette against a cloudy sky and the next just smoke. The crater is still there. You avoid it now, not out of superstition, just respect. Harris said, "Guess that's what you get for standing up during shelling." The kid didn't laugh. None of us did. Because the lesson hit harder than the shrapnel. It doesn't matter who you are. Out here, everyone's just meat in a uniform. After that, things got weird. The Sergeant Harper tried to take command. Did okay for a day or two. Until a booby trap turned his legs into a red mist. Then it was Corporal this, then Private that. Each new leader lasted about as long as a fresh cigarette. The ranks got shorter. The silence got louder. Eventually, we just stopped waiting for orders. We moved when it felt right, fired when we had to, ate when we could, slept with one eye open and both hands on the trigger. That's when things started working. When there was no sir, no ma'am, just breathing bodies with rifles trying to stay upright. You realise something after a while. Command was never about strategy. It was about illusion. The illusion that someone was in charge, that there was a plan, that if you followed orders, you might live long enough to salute someone again. But war doesn't follow orders. It devours them. It doesn't read your medals. It doesn't salute your rank. It doesn't ask permission before it drops another round into your lap. The sky doesn't care if you graduated top of your class at West Point. It'll kill you the same way it kills the guy who learned to shoot last week. Loud, random, permanent. You remember finding a lieutenant's helmet in a tree. Just the helmet. Still had his name scratched on the inside. Collins. You never met him, but you stared at that name for a while, wondering what it felt like the second he realised the blast had picked him up, wondering if he knew he was dead before the helmet landed. You didn't touch it, just left it up there, as a warning, or maybe a monument. Hard to tell the difference now. The kid asks you one day in the middle of a lull, why don't we get replacements for them, the officers? You say, we do. They just die faster. He asks again, so, who's in charge now? You shrug. Whoever's still moving when it's over. And that's how it works. Not by votes, not by promotions. Just momentum. The guy who's not bleeding, not panicking, not frozen, he leads. Until he can't. Then someone else does. You find a journal once. Belonged to a captain who lasted 3 days in your sector. It's mostly coordinates and scribbles. But one page stands out. Scrawled, shaky handwriting. They don't listen. I can't make them. The maps don't match the ground. I think I've made a mistake. You fold the page, put it in your pocket. You don't know why. Maybe because it proves what you already knew. Even the ones giving orders are making it up. Another officer shows up a week later. Fresh uniform, clean boots, eyes too bright. He shakes hands, gives a speech, tells you you're heroes, then asks where the latrine is. You show him. That night he gets hit by a sniper on the way back from taking a piss. You drag him to cover. He bleeds out before he can say, medic. You check his ID. First Lieutenant, 22 years old. Name was Grant. You put his tags in your pocket. You bury him in the same crater as Kessler. They didn't know each other in life. But they'll share the same dirt now. Same fate. Same sky. Same silence. Because out here, that's what rank gets you. A slightly different dog tag in the same hole. Not everyone snaps with a scream. Not everyone throws down their rifle, rips off their helmet and runs into the woods yelling about ghosts or God or their mother. Some people go crazy quietly. And that's the kind that stays with you. You start noticing it on day 37. Could be day 40. Time isn't real anymore. The war's been chewing on all of you, but for Jackson, or maybe it's Jarvis, something breaks differently. It starts small. He stops responding when you call his name, not because he doesn't hear you, because it takes him too long to remember it's his. You have to tap him twice now, look him in the eye. He looks back like you're speaking a language he used to know, then nods. Goes through the motions, but the spark's gone. A week later he stops cleaning his rifle. You point it out. He shrugs, says, haven't needed it. You don't argue, because arguing won't bring him back. He still shows up for patrol, still carries his pack, still eats, sleeps, walks, but it's like he's watching himself do it from far away. Like his body is here, but the rest of him stayed somewhere back near the blown-up chapel with the half-buried piano keys and the dirt that smelled like ash and roses. You catch him one night just staring at a tree, for hours, not moving, not blinking much, just staring. You ask, what's out there? He says, nothing, but he doesn't look away. Others go differently. One guy named Long Gone starts reciting baseball stats. All day, every day. Doesn't matter what's happening. Bullets? He's talking about RBIs. Mortar fire? He's mumbling batting averages from 1932. You ask him what the hell he's doing. He says, just trying to keep score. Next day, he walks into open ground during a rain of machine gun fire. Didn't duck, didn't flinch. Just walked like he was late for something. Didn't make it 10 steps. Then there's the quietest one of all, Stafford. Never said more than 10 words a day before the war. Then stopped saying anything at all. He stopped blinking too. Sat up at night, eyes wide. Didn't sleep. Didn't eat much. Didn't scream. Didn't shake. Just waited. You asked him once, "You all right?" He didn't answer. Just looked at you like he already knew how it ends. 3 days later, you woke up and found him gone. No blood, no body. Just his boots left by the fire, still tied together. No one says anything about it. Because out here, quite crazy is like frostbite. You don't notice it until the part that's dying falls off. You're not immune either. You start hearing your own voice in your dreams, but saying things you don't remember thinking. You see movement in the corner of your eye even when you're alone. You can't remember your mother's face anymore, just the shape of her voice. Sometimes you forget the date, then the month, then why the calendar matters at all. One day, you smell cookies. Real cookies. Sugar. Warmth. Home. You follow it halfway through the brush before you realise you're walking into enemy territory with your rifle slung and your mouth open like an idiot. It wasn't cookies. It was burning cloth. And your brain just didn't want to know the difference anymore. The medic says you're fine. Just tired. Everyone's tired. That's his answer for everything now. Headache? Tired. Crying in your sleep? Tired. Talking to yourself? Tired. Bleeding from both ears? Hydrate. Try to get some rest. There's one guy who gets it right though. He doesn't talk at all. Doesn't smile, doesn't snap. He just hums. Low, constant, same tune. No one knows what it is. Some think it's a hymn. Some say it's a lullaby. Could be a radio jingle from before the draft. Whatever it is, it's his tether. He hums while cleaning his rifle. He hums while we move. He hums during firefights. Bullets flying, bodies falling, he hums. And you start humming it too. Because anything that keeps you from sliding off the edge is worth copying. Even if it's madness. Especially if it's madness. The worst part? Nobody talks about it, not out loud. You see it. You smell it. You live next to it. But you don't say, he's cracking. You don't say, she's gone. You just say, he's quiet today. She's having a long one. Because naming it makes it real. And if it's real for them, it can be real for you. The kid asks you once, how do you know if you're losing it? You pause. Think about it. Then say, if you're asking, you're still here. He nods, but not like he believes it. Like he's filing it away for later. For when he can't remember how he got to where he's standing. For when his rifle feels like it belongs to someone else's hands. For when the voice in his head isn't just his anymore. You survive day by day, not just from bullets, but from what the silence does to you when the shooting stops. From what you see when you close your eyes. From what you still see when you open them again. And if you're lucky, real lucky, maybe you make it home with just enough of your mind left to recognize your own reflection. But out here, the craziest ones aren't the ones screaming. They're the ones who hum. You'd think the bullets would be the worst part. They're not. Bullets are loud, fast, and final. You don't feel most of them, not the ones that hit right. They tear through you like a signature you didn't write. Quick, done, blackout. But the rain takes its time. It creeps, it soaks, it waits, and it hurts. Not sharp, not sudden, but steady. like a bad memory that won't leave you alone. You've been wet for 6 days straight. Not damp, wet. As in, clothes glued to your skin, boots squishing with every step, fingers too swollen to bend right. Your rifle's got rust spots that weren't there yesterday. And the worst part, there's no dry anything. Not your blanket, not your rations, not your soul. Just layers of wet stacked on wet. You stopped caring about mud 3 days ago. Now it's part of you. It lives under your nails, in your ears, behind your teeth. You spit it, you breathe it, you dream in it. Someone says this sector's always like this. Some natural basin or cursed forest or something about elevation runoff. You don't listen. Because you don't care why. You just care that your socks smell like death and you're not sure if it's trench foot or just time catching up. Harris has started stuffing newspaper in his boots. Where he got the paper, no one knows. Probably scavenged from a bombed-out post office or stole it off a corpse. Doesn't matter. It's not working. He still limps. Still curses under his breath every morning like the rain's personal. The kid hasn't said much today. He's got his hood up, collar high, rifle slung too loose. You can see it in the way he walks. He's sagging. Not from weight, from wet. His shoulders used to bounce. Now they hang. Like the rain's dragging him down one drop at a time. You ask, "You good?" He says nothing. Just wipes his face with the back of his hand and keeps moving. That's answer enough. You reach the ridge, take cover under a half-burnt tree. You think about lighting a cigarette, but they're all soaked. Even the ones inside the waterproof tin. Nothing is waterproof anymore. The rain has rules here. It gets into places you didn't even know had entrances. You gave up on dry socks. Now you just rotate them for flavour. That night someone cracks. Not loud, not violent. Just refuses to stand watch. Lays down in the mud and says, "I'm done." Not crying, not shaking, just flat. Face to the sky, mouth open, letting the rain fill him like a cup. You try to pull him up. He won't move. You slap him. Still nothing. Eyes open, but the light's gone. You call the medic. Medic shrugs. We can't dry him out. You leave him there. Cover him with a tarp. That's the best you can do. Later, the medic tells you about something called immersion syndrome. Says it's when your body stays wet too long and just starts giving up. You nod. But you know what it really is. Surrender. Surrender from the skin inward. You check your rifle again. Chamber's wet. You knew it would be. You take it apart, dry it with the inside of your shirt. Too little, too late. But it's all you've got. You've got 4 rounds left in the mag and a bolt that's starting to stick. If someone comes tonight, you've got 1 good shot. Maybe 2. After that, the knife, or prayer. Whichever works first. Rain drips down your back as you sleep. Sleep is a generous word. It's more like blinking with your eyes closed for 20 minutes. You dream about fires that don't die, about rooms with roofs. You wake up with a mouthful of mud and a stiff neck. The world is still grey. The rain is still falling. You wonder how something so soft can hurt so much. How water, something you're made of, can make you feel like you're eroding. It wears you down. Not like war. Worse. Because bullets at least have honesty. Rain is quiet. It doesn't scream. It just seeps. And if you're not careful, you'll forget what dry feels like. You get moving again. Down the slope through the brush. Every leaf is a sponge. Every step is a squish. Your hands are starting to prune again, but this time they split tiny cracks, bleeding at the edges. You wrap them in cloth, then more cloth, then tape. Now you can't feel your trigger finger. Doesn't matter. You're not expecting to shoot today. You're just hoping to make it to sundown without losing another toe. The kid slips on a log, goes down hard. You pull him up. He doesn't say thank you, just keeps walking. You understand? Out here, gratitude is just extra weight. You see an old shell crater filling with water. Someone jokes, give it 2 more days and we can swim in it. Nobody laughs. You're past that now. Humour doesn't float anymore. It just sinks. Everything else. And when the rain finally stops, it doesn't feel like victory. It feels like silence. Like something ended. Like you survived something worse than gunfire. You stand up, stretch, crack your back. The world smells like wet ash and metal. You breathe deep. Your lungs hurt, but it's dry. And, for now, that's enough. You try to remember their names. All of them. Every face that passed you in the dark. Every voice that cracked on the radio. Every laugh around the fire before the shelling started. But they slip, one by one. And the worst part? You start forgetting on purpose. Because remembering hurts more than the loss. His name might have been Calvin. Or Carver. You can't be sure anymore. You just remember that he whistled all the time, same 4 notes over and over. Never finished the melody, just looped it like a nervous tick. He used to sit on ammo crates and draw with a piece of charcoal he found in a burned-out farmhouse. Drew faces, mountains. One time, he drew a dog and said it looked like the one he had back home. One morning you woke up and the whistling was gone. He was too. They found what was left of him near a collapsed trench wall. Just a boot. Some teeth. That's all it took to ID him. They wrote his name on a list, folded it, moved on. You tried to remember the drawing he was working on. You couldn't. All you could see was the dog's ears, half-finished, smudged. And that's when it hit you. A name doesn't save anyone. Not out here. Back in basic, names meant something. You got called by them, yelled at by them, promoted or punished by them. You sewed them on your chest like armour. Name, blood type, religion. Like that could stop a bullet. Out here, names are just tags. Scratched metal. Tiny tokens we send home in place of bodies. You found dozens. Sometimes still warm. Sometimes with the names worn off. When that happens, the guy gets buried as unknown. Like his whole life, every minute, every smile, every sin just dissolves. Because someone forgot to engrave 6 letters deep enough. The kid still believes in names. Still asks for them when he meets someone new. You told him once, "Don't bother, they won't be around long." He looked hurt. Said, "It matters." You didn't argue, but you didn't change your mind either. There was a lieutenant name was Kravitz or Kavanaugh or something close. He insisted we write our full names on our helmets. Said it would make us feel more human. Most of us didn't. The ones who did, they died faster. Because when the snipers came, they aimed for the heads with legible targets. Turns out being nameless was a kind of camouflage. Sometimes you see a guy go down and the first thing someone does is grab his tags. Not to mourn, not even to help, but to make sure the death gets recorded. Like that makes it more real. As if dying without a name is somehow worse than dying with one. It's not. It's just quieter. You used to whisper the names of the dead when you tried to fall asleep. A way to hold on, to keep them real, like if you said them enough times, they'd stay with you. Now you whisper silence instead. It's easier. It hurts less. You remember this one guy Briscoe, big hands, used to play piano, swore he'd go back and teach music once the war ended. You believed him. Then he took a round to the back during a retreat, dropped like a bag of bricks. No scream, no last words, just a thud. When they rolled him over, there was no face left. just red. You looked down at his tag. Briscoe, Samuel L. You said it out loud, twice, and felt nothing. Because by then, you'd said too many names. One night while digging in, the kid asks, "When we get out of here, will you remember me?" You pause, longer than you mean to, then you lie. Of course. But the truth? The truth is, you don't know. You're already losing people you saw yesterday. Already fumbling names you used to say without thinking. Already forgetting your own sometimes. Especially when you look in the mirror what little's left of it and see a face you don't quite recognise. Because a name is a placeholder. But a name isn't enough to save you. Not when the shell hits. Not when the trench caves in. Not when the medic says, "We're out of morphine, just hold on." It's not the name they call when they carry your body. It's just this one. Just him. Just another. You try writing names down once. Start a little list in your journal. You make it 8 names in before the page gets soaked during a downpour. Ink runs, letters bleed. Just like they did. You rip it out, burn it. The fire barely lights. Now, when someone dies, you say, "He was good," or "He made it farther than most." And if they were close, you add a line. Something small, something quiet. Used to hum while shaving. Always gave up his dry socks. Knew how to carve wood animals. That's all you allow yourself. Because it's the detail that matters now. Not the name. The name's just what they wore. They call it friendly fire. Like it's a mistake you can forgive. Like the bullet that hits you from the wrong side somehow hurts less. But out here, there's no such thing as a friendly bullet. It happens fast. They all do. You're moving at night. Orders came down late again. Rickon said the path was clear again. You're not even 10 minutes into the advance when it starts. A shot cracks from the tree line. 1, then 2 more. Sharp, close, wrong. Someone goes down, you hear the grunt, the fall, the rifle clatter. Your heart doesn't even speed up anymore. You just drop, find cover. Then the voices come. Not German, American. Your own. Panicked shouting, wrong direction. They thought you were the enemy. And you didn't think they were out here at all. You scream, "Hold fire! Hold fire!" Too late. Rounds rip through the trees above you. Another man goes down. His name might have been Reese. You hear Harris shouting to your left. Then silence. That's worse. You crawl behind a stump, wave your helmet on a stick like a white flag. Someone finally yells, "Cease fire! Cease fire! Jesus Christ!" It stops. The forest holds its breath. You count 5 seconds of quiet. Then 10. Then you stand. Hands up. Face blank. And you stare at the other squad 10 yards away, maybe less. Eyes wide. Faces pale. Guns still shaking. One guy lowers his rifle and says it like a question. "We thought you were them." You don't answer. Because there's nothing to say that doesn't end with someone hitting the ground again. Later, Command calls it a miscommunication. Says you are operating outside expected boundaries. Says the map didn't show you overlapping. Says nothing about the 2 men you just zipped into black bags. No apology. Just a shrug. Just more orders. You bury Reese yourself. At least, you think it was Reese. He still had his tag, but you can't be sure it was attached to the right man. He took one in the throat, bled into the leaves, died with his hands raised. The other one was Harris. You knew it the second you saw the way his gear was packed. No one else tied their grenades that way. You sit next to what's left of him. You think about saying something. Instead, you stare at your boots. And think about how many times you watched him walk just ahead of you. The next day, a new guy joins your squad, transferred from the unit that shot at you. He tries to make small talk, says he's sorry, says it wasn't supposed to happen. You nod, but your hands curl tight around your rifle. You're not angry. Not really. You're just aware now, fully, deeply aware that no one out here knows what they're doing. And that includes the people on your own side. There's a phrase goes around, better safe than sorry. You hate it now, because safe out here means shoot first, and sorry means write their name on a clipboard and pretend it wasn't your fault. Later, someone fires on a convoy by mistake, kills 3 guys transporting supplies. Word spreads fast, morale drops faster. You hear one guy joke, "We've got a better shot at dying from our own than from Jerry." No one laughs, because it's true. Because every shot you hear now makes your heart stop, not from fear of the enemy, but fear that your own are just as lost in the dark. The worst part, you start hesitating. You see a shape in the fog and your finger doesn't move, because it might be one of yours, or it might not. And that half second of doubt, that's enough to get you killed. So you make a choice. Either shoot and maybe kill a friend, or wait and maybe die. There's no right answer, just blood. And blame. The kid asks you one night, "How do you live with it?" You ask, "With what?" He says, "Knowing it could be your bullet." You stare into the fire, then say, "You don't." You remember a guy from your first month, accidentally fragged 2 teammates during a sweep. Wrong angle, bad throw. He stopped speaking after that. Didn't sleep, didn't eat. Started scratching the same spot on his arm every night until it bled. One day you woke up and he was gone. They found him by the river with a sidearm in his lap. No note. Just a smear of blood and 1 spent round. The word friendly is meaningless now. It's just a prefix they slap on tragedy. Like calling it collateral damage makes it cleaner. But you know what it is. You watched it happen. You carry the silence of it. You walk past the crater and see the blood, and boots don't slow down, because if they did, if they stopped even once, you might never move again. There are no memorials for friendly fire. No medals, no flags, no folded notes. Just a line in a report that says "killed in action." Doesn't say whose action. Doesn't say whose finger slipped. Doesn't say who can't sleep anymore. So you keep your mouth shut. You keep your weapon clean. You keep your eyes sharp. And when you see a figure in the dark, you breathe. You hesitate. You squeeze. Because the next mistake might be yours. And the name on the next tag might be someone you knew. The war teaches you a lot. How to fire blind. How to run low. How to bury fast. But the worst thing it teaches you, how to live with the smell. You think you'll get used to it. You won't. You just stop noticing it until it changes. Until it shifts from rot to burning, from burning to metal, from metal to shit and blood and something else you can't even name. Then it hits you again, like the first time. And your stomach lurches like it's brand new. It's in the trenches. It's in your clothes. It's on your hands. Even when you wash, which isn't often, it clings. You scrub until your knuckles split, until you're raw and red and exhausted. Still there. Still faint. Still waiting. Like it knows you better than you know yourself. The first time it really hits is back in Sector 9. The heat, the dead, the wind blowing the wrong way. 3 bodies in a crater. 2 Americans, 1 German, all fused by the blast. You were told to tag them. You couldn't even get close without gagging. The medic handed you a rag soaked in mint oil, said it would help. It didn't. All it did was mix with the stench and make something worse. Something sweet and rotten, like candy dipped in gasoline. You puked on your boots, then tagged them anyway, because that's what the form said. Recover and record. Later you tried to eat. Bread, spam, didn't matter. Every bite carried the memory of that smell. You chewed anyway, because you had to, because hunger is louder than disgust out here. But you never really forgot. Some guys deal with it by smoking constantly. Mask the smell with tobacco, they say. One guy carried a flask of whiskey just to dab under his nose. Another wore perfume from a French girl he met before it all went to hell. Didn't matter. The smell always wins. You know what the worst one is? Burnt meat. Because your brain against your will recognizes it. Not as foreign, as familiar. Because it smells like home, like a barbecue. Like Sunday afternoon and laughing voices and the crackle of a grill. And when you realise what it is, when you realise what you're smelling used to be someone you knew, it breaks something inside you. Something deep. Something permanent. You carry that with you. Every step. Every breath. Even now, sometimes when the wind shifts, your body goes rigid. You stop talking mid-sentence, nostrils flare, eyes scan. It's automatic. Because the smell comes first, then the memory, then the silence. They never told you how strong it would be, how long it would stay. You thought war would sound like explosions. You didn't know it would smell like absence. It's not just the dead, it's the dying. You crawl next to someone leaking out from 3 holes in his side and he smells like copper and infection and something you can't describe but will never forget. You breathe it in, hold it, live with it. And later, you smell it again on a dog or a wounded deer or the trash outside a diner back home and your knees go weak before your brain even catches up. Because your body remembers and it doesn't forgive. There was a guy once, Romero. He stopped washing altogether. Said there was no point. Said, it all smells like death anyway. We told him to clean up. He didn't. One day he stepped on a mine. Gone in seconds. But for weeks, whenever you smelled that sour sweat gunmetal stink of unwashed flesh, you thought of him. Even when it wasn't him. Even when it never was. The trenches hold on to it. You dig a new one and it still smells like the last guy who bled out there. The dirt carries memory. You learn that. You learn that the earth remembers more than you want it to. And when it rains, God. It wakes it up, all of it. The damp pulls it from the roots. The rot rises. The blood bubbles in the puddles. You'd kill for clean rain. But there's no such thing here. Just water that stirs the ghosts up. The kid asks you once, does it go away? He means the smell. You say, no, but you stop fighting it. And that's the truth. You breathe it in. Let it coat your lungs. Let it sit behind your teeth. And eventually it becomes part of you. Not because you're strong, because you don't have another option. Back home, if you make it back, you'll be in line at the store or walking past a grill or stepping into your garage and it'll hit you. That faint drift of metal and meat. And you'll stop, mid-step, mouth dry, heart spiking, and you'll remember it all. In a second, not the faces, not the firefight, just the smell, because it never really leaves. It just waits. The order came down late. It always does. Handwritten, smudged, signed by someone 2 towns away who hasn't seen the front line in weeks, maybe never. Clear the building, no survivors. That's it. No context. No map. No reason. Just black ink on paper, folded twice and handed to you like it's a grocery list. You stare at it. You ask, "Civilians?" The runner shrugs. "Don't know, doesn't say." Of course it doesn't. You gather the squad. Explain what little you have. Structure. 2 stories. Enemy presence assumed. Harris raises an eyebrow. Assumed? You nod. We go in, sweep, secure. You don't say the rest, because they already know it. The building is a shell of something that used to matter. Maybe a school, maybe a church. Hard to tell anymore. The windows are blown out, one wall is collapsed. The roof's caved in the back, but it's standing mostly. And from the outside it looks quiet. Too quiet. You circle around. No gunfire, no movement. Just wind and the distant sound of boots squelching in wet grass. You signal, go in. The first floor's empty. Rubble, shattered furniture. Scorch marks on the walls. You see a child's shoe near the stairs. Small, pink, untouched by ash. You don't say anything. Just step over it. Upstairs is different. You find them huddled in what's left of a bedroom. 3 of them. A woman, 2 kids. No weapons, no uniforms. They don't run. They just stare. Like they've already calculated the odds and know they're not good. The woman speaks fast, scared. Foreign tongue, but you catch the rhythm. She's not fighting, she's begging. You lower your weapon. The kid behind you doesn't. You whisper, "Stand down." He doesn't move. His fingers twitching on the trigger. His eyes dart to you. But the order, stand down. You make it sharp, final. He hesitates, breath shallow, then backs off. Just a step, that's enough. You check the room. No enemy, no explosives, no trap. Just 3 lives that didn't ask for this war. You radio in. Structure clear, no hostiles. They ask, "No contacts at all?" You say, "None." Repeat, "Building empty." They hesitate. Then reply, "Copy that." And just like that, it's over. You bring the woman water from your canteen. One of the kids cries. The other just stares at you like you're death in a helmet. Maybe you are. But not today. Not this time. Later the kid pulls you aside. Voice low. "We disobeyed." You shake your head. "We disobeyed bad orders." He doesn't look convinced. "What if they report us?" You say, "Then we deal with it." And you mean it. Because the worst thing about war isn't the chaos. It's when the system pretends chaos is discipline. You've seen it before. Orders that don't make sense. Shoot before confirming. Destroy without checking. Advance into fire just because someone said, "Now." You followed them at first. You wanted to believe that the chain of command was built on something stronger than fear. You were wrong. You remember Baker, 3 months back, told to torture farmhouse. No intel, no resistance. Just make it uninhabitable. He didn't hesitate. Lit it from the back. Didn't know there were people inside, didn't find out until the screaming started. By then it was too late. Too bright. Too hot. Too far gone. He didn't sleep after that. Didn't talk much either. Eventually he stopped showing up for patrol. They found him sitting by a creek. Eyes open, rifle in his lap, 1 round missing. No note. Just silence. Just another soldier who followed orders and broke something he couldn't fix. Some officers hide behind the rules. They say, "War is ugly. Do what you're told." But you've seen ugly. And this is something else. This is cruelty disguised as protocol. And you're not a machine. You're still human, just barely. but enough to know that some lines don't come out of you once they're crossed. So you draw your own, quietly, firmly. And when the order says no survivors but target says no threat, you lie. You say it was empty. You say there was nothing. And you live with that. Because the alternative is dying right while doing wrong. The kid still worries. Thinks someone's going to call it in. That the next report will be about us. But nothing comes. The papers move on. The names stay off the list. And you carry on, one step at a time. You don't feel heroic. You don't feel righteous. You just feel cleaner than you could have been. And that's enough. That's what you hold on to. When the nights stretch too long. When the ghosts get too loud. When the orders come again. Because now, you know, some orders shouldn't be followed. And some things aren't worth surviving if they cost your soul. You remember what they told you before deployment. That if you fought hard, if you followed orders, if you did your job, you'd earn something. A ribbon, a commendation, a little round medal on a striped piece of cloth. Proof. Proof that you mattered. That what you did meant something. That someone somewhere was keeping track. They said medals would find the brave, that valour would be noticed, that sacrifice would be remembered. They lied. First medal you ever saw? They gave it to a guy who shot a latrine by accident, then blamed enemy sabotage. Got a bronze star for defensive alertness. You watched him collect it in a tent 2 weeks later, grinning like he'd just won a raffle. The guy he left bleeding out during the ambush? No medal, no mention, just a first name in your memory and a blood stain on your jacket. You don't know who makes the decisions. Maybe some colonel in a warm room reading sanitized reports. Maybe someone with clean hands and a stack of forms and a checklist. Was it brave? Did anyone write it down? Were there witnesses? Was it good for morale? If the answer's yes, they send you metal. If not, they send you silence. You once pulled a guy out of burning wreck, shoulder dislocated, back torn open from shrapnel. Crawled with him 300 yards under mortar fire. Saved his life. Didn't even get a thank you. Just a slap on the back and a new rotation. No paperwork, no write-up. Because no one saw it. Because it wasn't official. Then you saw a captain get a medal for leadership under fire. Funny thing, he was hiding in a ditch while we advanced without him. He signed the report later, claimed credit. Got promoted. Never apologised. You were too tired to care by then. The kid asks one day, "You ever get one?" You shake your head. Not the kind they pin. He says, "You should have." You want to tell him, "So should you. So should half the guys buried behind us." But you don't. Because what's the point? There's a guy in your squad, Johnson, who got a medal back home before he even fired his first shot. Some rear echelon PR move. They needed a photo. A smiling face. A good headline. He stood in front of a flag, held a certificate, shook a hand. Then they dropped him in your unit 2 weeks later. He got clipped on day 3. Never even drew his weapon. The medal was still in his pack when you buried him. You didn't take it. Didn't want it. It meant nothing. Another guy earned one the same day he died. Dove on a grenade. Saved 4 of you. They gave him a posthumous silver star. You saw the paperwork, it said. Displayed gallantry in action against an armed enemy force. But it didn't say his name right. 1 letter off. You sent a correction. Never heard back. That's what they don't tell you about medals. They're neat, they're shiny, they fit in a box. They come with a citation someone else writes. But they don't bring you back. They don't stop the nightmares. They don't fix the limp or the lungs or the empty seat at the card table. They don't even honour the right things half the time. Just the visible things, the headline things, the convenient things. The kid says, "I want mine to go to my brother if I get one." You nod. Because he still believes. Because part of you wishes you did too. You saw a guy once trade his medal for a bottle of bourbon. Didn't even flinch. Said the bourbon would help him sleep. The medal never did. You understood. Too well. Some guys wear them on their chest like armour. Others hide them in a drawer and pretend they were never awarded. You're not sure which is braver. One night you dig a shallow hole for a man who bled out in your arms. You don't have his name, just his blood on your sleeve and the way he said, "Tell my girl I..." before the light left his eyes. You carve a cross from sticks. Say nothing. Then take his tags. You find a medal in his bag, a real one, clean, untouched. You hang it from the cross, not because he needed it, but because someone should see it and ask who he was. They lied about the medals. They said they'd matter. But the truth? It's the actions no one sees that weigh the most. The quiet bravery, the impossible choices, the things that don't get written up or dressed in ceremony. The time you didn't shoot. The time you carried a friend 6 miles in the dark. The time you disobeyed a bad order and lived with it. No ribbon for that. No citation. Just the memory. And the silence that follows. They'll say we won. You know that. They'll print it in bold letters across newspapers. Say it on the radio with patriotic music behind them. They'll show black and white footage of waving flags, of returning ships, of brass bands playing in clean cities untouched by shell fire. They'll call us heroes. They'll say it was worth it. They'll say we won. But out here, no one feels like they did. You cross the last field after the ceasefire. Your boots sink in what used to be a yard. Charred walls stand like broken teeth around a house that isn't a house anymore. There's no cheering, no waving, just smoke and bones and silence. You pass a wrecked tank. Its hatch is open. Something dark has dried down the side. No one looks. There's nothing left to see. You reach the rendezvous point. Someone hands you a canteen and says it's over. You take a drink, spit out the rust, then say, "It's not over. We're just the ones still breathing." You sit down with the others, what's left of them. 6 guys where there used to be 20. No formation, no salute. Just slouched backs and 1,000-yard stares. Someone lights a cigarette with shaking hands. Another one just rocks slowly, mumbling to no one. This is what victory looks like. You don't feel proud. You don't feel strong. You feel hollow. The kid's still with you. Somehow, his uniform's ripped, face gaunt, hair matted with ash. But his eyes are the worst. They've aged 20 years in 3 months. He asks you, "Is this it?" You say, "Yeah." Then he says what no one else does. What everyone's thinking but won't admit. Doesn't feel like we won. You nod. Because that's the truth of it. You didn't take the hill. You didn't raise the flag. You just survived longer than the ones who didn't. There's no parade out here. No marching band waiting behind the tree line. Just the crackle of fire and the low murmur of people trying not to say the names they remember. A medic walks by, empty stretcher. No use for it now. Not today. Maybe tomorrow. You see the reporters later. Clean boots, fresh notepads. They ask what it was like. Ask what you saw, what you did, how it felt to win. You stare at them, then look down at your hands. Dirt under the nails, scars healing wrong, a blister from a grenade pin that got stuck and almost didn't come off in time. You say, "I don't remember." It's not a lie. Not all the way. Because out here, memory comes with pain. And some days, forgetting is survival too. Later that night, someone tries to sing. Something soft, something old. They forget half the words. But it doesn't matter. Because it's not for melody. It's for mourning. The only kind of mourning you're allowed when you're still technically alive. You lay down with your back to a broken wall. Stare at the sky. No stars. Too much smoke. You wonder what it looked like the night before the war started. Probably the same. But it doesn't feel that way. Now everything looks filtered through loss. Even the moon seems bruised. You think about the ones who didn't make it. You count them in your head, even though you promised yourself you'd stop. You remember how they talked, how they laughed, how they looked when they were whole. You remember the moment they weren't, and you realise winning means leaving people behind and calling it progress. When the trucks arrive to take you back, you don't rush. No one does. It's not excitement. It's just motion. And motion means you're not dead yet. You load in. Sit close. No one speaks. You pass burned towns. Flattened hills. Craters full of water that shine like mirrors you don't dare look into too long. Because if you see your reflection, you might remember who you used to be. And that hurts worse than any wound. Back at base, someone gives you clean socks. Another gives you coffee. You thank them like a robot. You drink it like medicine. It burns your tongue. You don't care. There's a bulletin board with commendations. Your name's not there. Neither is the kid's. But some guy who stayed behind the line fixing radios, he got a medal. You don't feel bitter. Just numb. Because the scoreboard they keep isn't the one that counts. Eventually they'll ship you home. You know that. There'll be a crowd, or not. Depends on the neighbourhood. There'll be awkward questions. Was it hard? Did you kill anyone? Are you okay? You'll nod. Smile if you can. Say what they want to hear. Because the truth is too heavy to carry back. And they wouldn't know what to do with it anyway. So yeah, they'll say we won. They'll tell stories, write books, make movies. But you know better. We didn't win. We didn't conquer. We didn't emerge victorious. We just made it to the credits. That's it. That's all. They say it ends when the shooting stops. When the smoke clears. When the papers get signed. When flags are folded and the uniforms come off. But that's not the end. That's just a change in scenery. Because the real war, the one that matters, keeps going. It follows you home. Quiet. Patient. Dressed in your clothes. It rides the bus with you. Stands in your shower. Sits at the dinner table when no one else is talking. It hides in the gaps. In the space between questions. In the silence between footsteps. In the second after someone says you're safe now, and you pretend to believe them. You come back in one piece. Mostly. People clap. They shake your hand. Say, thank you for your service. You nod. Smile. Say, glad to be home. But you don't feel home. You feel hollow. Like someone cut something out and never bothered to fill it back in. The kid doesn't come back. His last words were, tell them I tried. You wrote them down, folded the paper, gave it to the CO. No idea if it ever made it to his family. No idea if it matters. But you did it. Because you said you would. Because it was the last thing that felt like it meant something. You tried to live like they told you. Get a job, keep your head down, fit in. You sit through interviews where people ask if you're adjusting okay. You say yes, even when you mean no. especially then. Because they don't really want to know. Not really. They want the version of you that came back in uniform, smiled in the photo, and didn't bring ghosts to dinner. Sometimes you hear things. Doors slamming like gunfire, cars backfiring like mortars, arguments 2 rooms away that make your heart sprint like a firefight starting. You don't mention it. You just go outside. Smoke a cigarette you don't like. Stare at the horizon like it's a trench you might need to cross again. Just in case. The medals collect dust. You keep them in a drawer with the tags. Can't throw them away. Can't look at them either. Too shiny. Too clean. Too wrong. Because they don't match the memories. They don't show the parts that matter. The screaming. The dragging. The silence after the wrong person fell. People ask you what it was like. You say, hard. Or sometimes, it was a job. You never say the real version. The version where you cleaned blood off your boots with ration water. Where you watched someone crawl through mud screaming for a mother that wasn't there. Where you whispered names into the dark just to remember someone existed before the shell hit. That version's too heavy, and no one wants to carry it with you. The nightmares come quiet. No explosions. Just replayed choices. What you did. What you didn't. What you'll never undo. You wake up gripping the sheets like a rifle. Sweat, cold, breath gone. You sit on the edge of the bed for a long time. Sometimes the sun comes up before you stand. You try to be normal. You laugh at things. You nod when people talk about traffic and grocery lines and late bills. But part of you's still crouched behind a stone wall, counting the shots, marking the exits, waiting for the next sound. You're not paranoid. You're trained. And that training doesn't clock out just because the war did. Some days you feel okay. Really okay. You have coffee with someone who doesn't ask about the past. You sit in a room and realise you aren't checking for cover anymore. You hear music and it sounds like music, not a distraction from noise, but something real. Those days are rare, but they matter. They prove it's still possible. To feel. To breathe. To laugh without guilt. You find others like you. Not many, just enough. You meet in bars, at support meetings, outside of job fairs and in long VA lines. You recognise each other without words. The stare, the pause, the way they hold themselves like they're still wearing gear. You nod. They nod back. That's it, and it's enough. You get used to saying less. You stop expecting people to understand. You stop waiting for closure. There isn't any. There's just forward. One step. Then another. Then maybe another after that. Not toward healing. Just away from where you were. And that has to be enough. Sometimes you think about the first time you heard gunfire. How everything changed in that second. How time split. Before. After. And now? Now it's all after. But at least you know that. At least you're not lying to yourself anymore. Because the truth is simple. The war isn't over when the fighting stops. It's over when you stop living like you're still in it. And that takes longer than anyone tells you. Maybe forever. But you're still here. And that's not nothing. That's survival. And that's the win. Not medals. Not headlines. Not speeches or flags or days named in your honour. Just you. Still here. Still moving. Still fighting in a different way. That's how you know you made it. Even if it doesn't always feel like it. So if you're still listening, if you've made it through all of this, if this felt like your story too, or someone you know, or someone you never got to thank, like, subscribe, share it. Not for me, for the ones who didn't come home, for the ones still fighting the war inside their heads every damn day. Let them know they're not alone, because sometimes that's the only thing stronger than a bullet. Someone remembering